Well, hello there. I hope that you are all having a wonderful day and welcome back to the channel. But if you are new here, then welcome. My name is Chewy and we play strategy games here on Chewyshoot. Today we're going to be starting a new campaign playing as the Ottoman, the Scourge of Europe. The Ottomans are a very strong nation at 1444 and is likely the easiest nation in the game for beginners in my opinion. Many people will say, oh, maybe Spain, maybe England. I tend to lean towards Ottomans. I got my first world conquest as the Ottomans. I think that the Ottomans is a very forgiving nation. If you read the title or the thumbnail, you know that this series will be serving as a gameplay guide. I want to pass on my knowledge of the game to you, and I'm by no means an expert, but I do consider myself better than average. That being said, we're going to be playing a little bit slower, and we're going to be playing a strong nation. I encourage you all to play along if you're interested, and I also encourage you to tick Iron Man. That way you know that you have to adapt to your situations, and you can't just roll back a year if you make a mistake. The main points I plan to touch on are teaching the basics, and we want to expand upon our knowledge of military, including army composition, terrain, and quality. Economic stuff such as development and trade. You're going to run into plenty of political situations that you may encounter in the game, and I want to talk about how to address those situations. We're going to go over some hotkeys and their significance. If you don't know, EU4 has a lot of hotkeys. They are very useful. They are very much a time-saving thing. I encourage you, if you want to play EU4, get into the hotkeys. It will make your life much easier. We're also going to go over mission trees and the roles that they play on your playstyle. If you're wondering why my game looks the way it does, it's because I have a mod pack installed that I have created myself just for you guys. And below the video, I have a link to the Steam Workshop page for it, so you guys can download it for yourself. And if you use it and you like it, please do remember to like and favorite it so others can find it as well. If you guys are looking forward to this series, please do consider leaving a like on the video. It helps others find it, but more importantly, it lets me know that you appreciate it and you want to see more. If you haven't already subscribed, click the red button below the video to stay up to date on content being posted on the channel. And if you ding the bell, it'll actually send you pings when new videos go live so you won't miss any uploads. Additionally, we have an awesome community Discord that I encourage you to join and get involved in, with many like-minded people who also like to talk strategy as well as build community over there. I do also stream sometimes over at twitch.tv/Chewyshoot, so follow me over there if you'd like to catch me live, and follow me over on Twitter. All those things are linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's hop in and get started. While I said that this is a beginner's campaign, that does not mean that you only have to be a beginner to watch this. I promise you, you will learn something if you stick around and you enjoy this campaign. And also, if you have a friend that you think could learn a little bit, shoot this video over to them. Let them watch this series with you. And I think it will go well for everybody involved. So, we are the Ottoman. We are pretty big. If you take a look here, Great Powers list, we are number 4 in the world in the 1444 start date. Pretty good. Pretty good. We have a solid economy here. And hotkey for this is F1. F1, and then you can use 1 2 3 4. I usually hit F1 and then just click them, but easy enough, right? So our income is solid. What that does is this allows us to hire a level 1 advisor for each. And generally, whenever it comes to early game, managing your money and your mana is key, especially mana. Money is one of those things you can take for in wars. Mana you can only get over time and through events, but mostly through time. So do what you can to save money while also making mana. So early on, sometimes you can get special advisors that are cheaper. These guys are all regular price. I would recommend, initially I think the stab cost guy is good because you want to try to have at least one stab. So stabbing up day 1 is usually a good idea if you can. Improved relations is fine. And generally you want to get advisors that help you with your economy, like a trade efficiency guy. If he was level 1, we'd probably take him instead because we are making a decent bit of money from trade here in the Constantinople node. Reinforced speed is fine. National manpower, I suppose, is probably better because that actually helps with your monthly recovery. So when you're considering rivals, who you want to rival, we need to take a look at who is around us that we can immediately get to war with, that we can win. That's the key. You want to be able to pick people that you can bully on, right? So we start off the game with 17 PP. We can probably get better than that. So we want to rival the Mams, because we definitely want to beat up on the Mams sooner rather than later. The sooner you beat up on the Mams, the sooner you can expand down in here and you don't need to worry about anything else. QQ is probably a good one. Poland, probably not so much because they're going to be a little harder to get to. Hungary, oftentimes allies Lithuania, or Austria rather, so not usually worth. I would say Venice is a good one. And QQ is a good one. So all of our rivals border us for the most part, okay? National decisions, whenever you're playing as a Sunni, I always just click all of them, to be honest with you. So these 3. This Dev Shermi system is okay. I don't know. It's good, and the earlier you take it, the better. But I wouldn't take it right now because rushing Miltech 4 is one of the most important techs in the game, especially for early game, of course. It's an early game tech. But this 25 mil tactics and +5 morale, take a look at how those numbers affect this. Half a morale, that is, whatever that is, 1/5 or it's like a 20% increase of your total. And if you have 20% more morale, as well as tactics, which what do we have for tactics right now? Our tactics is 5, so that's a 50% increase in tactics. You will steamroll people if you have higher than that. That being said, we're already focusing mill, so that's good. We start off with Mehmed II, Mehmed the Great, I believe is his name. Oftentimes he's remembered too. He might actually be the one who I have in the thumbnail if I recall correctly. But yeah, this is really good. You will generally not get rulers like this unless you're playing as the Ottomans. But you'll see, we have a special government type here, the Ottoman government, which allows us to pick our ruler. One of the broken things about the Ottomans, and this is with Cradle of Civilization, I think. I'm not sure. I am playing the game with all DLC, so if you're wondering why things look different, I would check your DLC list. I have all of them. Also, if you ever have any questions and you feel like you saw something in the video and you feel like I didn't explain it in a way that you understood, or you'd like a little bit more of a deep dive into it, let me know and I will address it in future videos or reply to your comment as well. Also, I know I plugged the Discord in the intro. Join the Discord if you got questions as well. There's plenty of people that will help you out there. So yeah, we're focusing mill. We will get mill tech very quickly. And since we got the stab advisor, our stab cost is lower. I'm going to boost that up because what we're going to do here is we are going to mess with these guys. So this is a bit of a contentious topic. Some people swear you got to do it one way or the other. Generally, my general start is start with your merchants and I just work my way up. I tend to avoid the monopolies. You get a lot of money up front and you get the mercantilism, but you also get no production income. We're not making a lot from production income, but if we lost all of that, you know, or a large chunk of that, it would be painful. So I tend to avoid them. I know a lot of people, like I know Ludi. I think Ludi is pretty keen on the monopolies. I don't think that there's anything wrong with them, but I would encourage against them. So private trade fleets is solid. Free enterprise is good because it doesn't actually affect anything except for this. Ignore the absolutism. Absolutism isn't coming for 190 years, 180 years. So don't worry about that. Patronage of the arts is good. Since you already have positive prestige, you're good to just take it. If you have negative prestige, you actually get 20. So early on, if you have higher, or if you have less than 5 prestige, scornfully insult a rival, and that will get you a little bit of PP while also getting you some prestige. So that's fine. That's a good one. So I usually stick with those. And then we're also going to go with this, which will toss crown land, but will give us a Diplo mana every month. There are downsides to being below on crown land, and I'll explain them, but we'll see what we can do with that. Again, no monopolies. Supremacy over the Sultanate. This basically gives everybody a ton of loyalty equilibrium. So I just go with that. Right of Council is the same thing. It will get them loyalty and stuff at the cost of absolutism. No big deal. And then I will go with Primacy of that for an extra mill mana per month. And you can see, no, we're starting to get low on crown land. It's okay. We'll address it. You can see here, the only thing that's really hurting us right now is the autonomy change, which is manageable. It actually just cancels out because when you're at peace, you gain, or you lose 0.1. So it just basically means you don't get government, you don't get absolutism or autonomy change. That's fine. And the tax is fine. We're not really making a whole lot of tax. And we'll go over how to manage your tax in the future as well. So when you come over here, I think Oversight of the Ulemma is a good one. This one's pretty good. I don't really want the tolerance. I don't really want because we don't plan. We're gonna mess around with the dhimmi. The dhimmi is specific for non-Western Sunni nations. So we'll come back to that one. The piety is pretty good. I do like the piety because I like to work towards legalism, and I'll explain that as well. And then this one here, which takes us down to 0 crown land. So what you do here is everybody's at 50. Well, also the dhimmi. So let's see here. As long as everybody is at or around 60, we should be good. 60 is the ideal. Merchants definitely. So the Ulemma won't get to 60, but I want to keep them over 50. So I don't want them to lose Ulemma loyalty. So I guess we'll go with higher dhimmi taxes, which will make us a little bit more money. It'll actually help cancel out that. You know what? We're going to do it. That's fine, because what that does is it takes... Oh, looks like it actually would have been... You want these guys over 60, and you want their influence as high as possible as well. But anyway, since everybody is at least 50, you can seize crown land. basically we just want to seize as much Carolina as we can and get back up to that 30 threshold. So that's the key there. When it comes to conversions, we have one heretic province over here. We're not going to worry about them. You could convert with this if you wanted to. We're not going to worry about that too much. All right, so our religion, we are Sunni. We follow the Hanafi school, which gives us admin tech cost. Yeah, admin tech cost of -5. It's fine. Sunni is okay. I tend to argue that Sunni is one of the better religions in the game because you can conquer the most land without having to convert it. You know, I think it's fine. A lot of people argue that Shia is better because you get morale. I think you get morale of armies 10%. Yeah, that's pretty solid, but you also have to convert literally everything because the only Shia provinces are pretty much here, you know. So there's arguments about it. You could also switch to Orthodox as the Ottomans. That's pretty strong. A lot of people like to do that. They call it the Ottomans. You could do Coptomans as a Coptic nation. We're going to stay Sunni because, like I said, we're keeping it basic right now. So when it comes to your opening moves, that's kind of the general gist of what you want to do here. Now you take a look at your missions, and I mentioned this in the intro. Your missions are going to direct your gameplay path for most nations, for most major nations at least. Obviously, some nations have generic mission trees, some don't. Ottomans do not. They have a partial generic mission tree. So they have a generic mission tree in the middle here. Anytime you see these flags there, it means you get these missions specifically because you are that nation. So you can see here, once we own Constantinople, we will get an event. Oh, right here, you get a bunch of permanent claims on a bunch of other stuff, as well as some bonuses for 15 years. Reform the Imperial Army here, have an army size of at least 85% of our force limit, gives us a ton of permanent claims over here in Anatolia. So pretty solid. So that means this is something you want to push for, right? You see this, and I know anybody who watches Levick knows this. Permanent claims are key. Permanent claims are what will win you the game, especially early game. So in order to get our force limit up to that beautiful mark that we were looking for, we're going to need to build a couple of regiments here. And this is something, and this might be an unpopular thing here. If you open up your production interface with B, you can go down to the bottom here to the exploit development and sort by ducats. People don't like to do this. I like to do this. You burn the base tax. So you take a look here. We're making a decent bit of money from base tax, but we're also making quite a bit from trade. So when you come down here, you lose one base tax in each of these provinces. And if you just hold down C while you click it, it clears the pop-up there. But look how much money we have in the bank right now. So what you're doing is you're essentially lowering the dev cost. And like I said, this is a bit of an unpopular thing, but what you're doing is you're lowering the amount of dev, which also lowers the cost of dev. The general rule of thumb is whenever you're deving, you do not want to dev with admin mana if you can avoid it. You want to dev with mill mana because this gives you maximum manpower as well as manpower garrison or manpower growth, as well as production, which gives goods produced. Goods produced is king for your economy, especially in the late game. As the late game goes on, I will explain more and more of this, but keep that in mind in the future. If you have excess admin mana, make sure you're on 3 stab. That's the key. That's the big one. Keep your stab as high as possible. If you have excess admin, spend it on stability or coring provinces, of course. Oftentimes, if you're blobbing, like you can do as the Ottomans, you'll be running a little bit short on admin. If you're at like the 999 and you're like, well, I don't want to, I guess I should dev. Take a look at your stab first. That's very important. So then whenever you are deving, these two are the ones you want. And if you exploit a dev here, it lowers the amount it costs to dev it. So it's just a little more efficient. Right, we got this guy set here. We want you to protect trade in Constantinople, make a little bit more money, right? And we are steering from Alexandria and Aleppo. Both probably the right call. I think I agree with that. And our capital is here in Edirne, or however that's pronounced. But in order to build up to that force limit, let's see if that affected our force limit. So we need to be up to 40, which we can do easily enough. So, right, we can only build 7, but that should get us over the limit there. So generally, I encourage you to play on speed 4 because speed 4 is going to be the best way to kind of control stuff. If you want to go down to speed 3, that's totally fine. It's up to you. And like I said, I encourage everybody to play along. So whenever you're looking for alliances, you could just right click everybody and say, oh, is this green? Is this green? Is this green? What I recommend doing is hitting B, opening up your production interface, or your macro builder, people like to call it. Go down to diplomacy and click offer alliance. This gives you a list of who wants to be your friend, right? And that's very useful, super useful actually. I recommend Crimea for this one because Crimea will get an event that will allow them to subjugate themselves for you, and if you have positive relations, it will increase that, and that's specific to the Ottomans. Let a day go past, and then ally Tunis. However, with Tunis, you can click this button over here. So this is ASD as well. So when you right click it, the A menu is one that's selected, the diplomatic actions, but if you hit D, it'll come over here to diplomatic feedback. You can click no joining offensive wars. Basically what that means is if they go to war, they can't call me in because they know I won't join. Crimea will join them, it's fine. But those are both really helpful. And then we need to take a look here at our mission tree. Like I said, the city of world's desires is to conquer Constantinople. We don't get anything that's going to give us claims on it, so you have to get a claim yourself. In order to get a claim, this is quite basic, but you go to covert actions and build spy network. Once you get up to 20 spy network, you can look at the province here. You can fabricate a claim, but you need 20 spy network. So you let that build up over time. This is a little more advanced, and a lot of people don't use these, but if you go to your trade menu, which I don't know exactly what the basics are over here, what these are set up as, the presets, but I recommend having simple terrain on one of them. And in order to add them, you just right click them and it brings up this list here, and you can click on one of them, add map mode, and then you can scroll down and find it. I recommend simple terrain map mode, and I'll show you more of this once wars start popping up. And believe me, you want this. This map mode is king. It shows you so much more information than a lot of people even know exist in the game. Okay, political map mode, right? HRE map mode, because you're going to need to know if you're trying to attack somebody if they're in the HRE. State map mode is really useful because it tells you where you have state. You can see I have this state is owned. I have this state like part of the union, but I do not own land in this state, right? And then this one here is religious leagues, which, you know, obviously doesn't exist right yet. But anyways, trade map mode is really useful because it allows you to take a look at the trade nodes. And if you click on one of the nodes where you have a merchant, you can take a look at the policies over here. If we hover over here, if we were to do hostile trading, you can see it says 25% spy network cost versus 5% trade node power. This 25% spy network cost is pretty useful because you see here it says this will affect the following countries, and you can see Byzantium down there. So if I click this, if we hover over here, it says we will gain 1.49 every month. If I accept that, it goes up to 1.86 every month, which means we will get that claim 25% faster. It's really good, really, really good. So I recommend doing that for sure. Naval Doctrine, ooh, okay. So Naval Doctrine is pretty solid. I recommend galley combat ability if you're playing a Mediterranean nation, especially the Ottomans, because you can see right here, we have 7 galleys. That's pretty solid, right? I tend to go with this. It's a little expensive, but I think it's definitely worth it. And what is our naval force limit? 24. So we're going to go a little bit over it. Whenever you're looking at naval force limit, in the words of the great Arumba, naval force limit is mostly a suggestion. So you can go quite over it without it being super punishing. We're going to go up to like 10 more galleys, and they'll build up over time because we're going to want to fight Venice, who's got a lot of galleys, right? So now we unpause here, and people are going to be joining coalitions. Initial alliance networks are going to get set up. You can see here. Let me see here. Austria's allied Bohemia. Hungary has allied the Palatinate. Karaman's allied AQ. MAMs have allied Ramazan. AQ has allied nobody. It's just good to kind of keep an eye on who we have rivaled, right? And there we go. A couple of other pop-ups there. You can see we are losing a little bit of money here. Ooh, the Jagiellon. Okay, so Poland has accepted the Jagiellon, so they got their personal union here. And a matter of fact here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to lose a little bit of money on this, but I'm going to cancel some of these guys. So we want to build up as to our force limit here. Our force limit is 8 more. Okay, so as the Ottomans, if you go to a province and you click on the state at the top here, or hit S, it'll bring up your state. You can conscript Janissaries. It costs mill mana, but Janissaries are really, really strong. Now, if we take a look over here, you scroll down to your Janissaries, they receive 10% less damage, which means you are taking 10% less casualties in the fight. So that means they're going to be 10% more staying power. Very strong. And just from clicking that button there, you spend mill mana. Yeah, that's fine. Obviously, like I said, you want to hold on to mill mana early on, but it's okay. It's fine. We're going to click this, which is going to give us a bunch of permanent claims on other provinces over here. And if you ever want to see what your claims are, click on your diplomatic map mode. Obviously, we got a bunch of claims on provinces we already have cores on. But right there, that means as soon as our truces are up, we could declare war. We could declare war on these guys right now if we wanted to. We have to wait for the monthly tick, but that's pretty good. And you can see we're losing a little bit of money. A nice way to save money early on is to go and mothball your forts, which I like to do. And I wouldn't recommend... I would recommend keeping this ticked to automatically raise maintenance during war. If you don't want a fort to ever turn off, this was added in 1.31, I think. You can click this button so it will not be mothballed by that action. Like if you have a capital fort or like a fort on a border with an enemy and you know for a fact they're probably going to jump on you, it's in your best interest to keep that fort on. That way you keep a garrison in there. I would recommend doing that. Also, since we have a big army and we're spending a lot of money on it, let's turn it off. We're not going to war anytime soon, so save your money. There's nothing wrong with that. Early on, if you feel like maybe you are going, see, there you go, the monthly tick happened and we got our claims. If you ever feel like you're going to be going into debt early on, I recommend using the burghers, which obviously we've given them 4, so you can't do any more. I would recommend giving the burghers the privilege of indebted to the burghers, which will give you 5 loans at 0.1 interest. You see over here, our base interest is 4. So we're not, if we take a loan out right now, the interest is 4. If you take out the burgher loans, it's 5 loans at 1. It costs the mercantilism, I believe, and a little bit of inflation, but it's fine. Royal marry your alliances, that's fine. It just validates your alliance a little bit more. Dynastic, there you go. Good stuff. And we're just mostly just sitting here waiting on this claim. So let's take a look at Constantinople. So Byzantium has allied Serbia. That's fine. Matter of fact, I'm actually okay with it because I have a claim, or I have a truce with them. But what I can do here is I can get a claim on them on Kosovo, because Kosovo is a gold mine and gold mines are incredible and they make the game easier in the early game. So when you get events like this is specifically a religious event. So you can see here, we can take the option to lose prestige and gain legalism at the cost of unrest in a province for missionary strength, or go with mysticism and it has a chance to change the province to a different religion. Legalism is really good. And the reason being is legalism gives you tech cost and manpower, and it gives you tax modifier and stuff, but the manpower and the tech cost is the big one. That's 60 mana per tech. That's 180 mana you save per round of techs if you have 10%, because the base cost is 600. So 10% is 60, 180 mana per. So it's really good to stack this. See, take a look and it scales up. So you can see here, does it say what we get right now? Now, if we were to go to our tech cost, you could hover over the button there. It says, well, maybe it needs the monthly tick to update. There you go, legalism, 1.5%. And then as these guys get loyal, once they go over 60, we'll get another 5 from them, maybe? I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are. So yeah, we're not able, we could convert this. We probably should, honestly. Yeah, the unrest is low enough that I think it's okay here. The knights are raiding us. Ugh, so annoying. Okay. So I recommend having a devastation map mode like this. Oh, so annoying. Okay. So what you can do here to prevent that from happening is take a couple of galleys and have them hunt pirates in your home node. And then take a few more galleys and have them hunt pirates in any other node that you have provinces in that you think are going to get pirated. I have provinces in the Ragusa node. So have them go out there, and on the monthly tick, you can see if you hover over and you click the node, it says we have 24 guns hunting pirates. And what that means is they will not be able to raid us. So even if they come up here, they won't be able to raid us. That's a nice way to help out with that. Regency Council has risen to the throne. Very good. So that means, ooh, wait a minute. Interesting. So the PU may happen. I'm actually not used to that happening. Interesting. Okay, so yes, and it's just good to keep an eye on things that are going on around you. So another useful thing is you open up this guy here, and you want to take a look at this button here. So click this button down here. This will bring up your filter message settings. So this is everybody that's marked as like interest for us, saying if something happens in this nation, we want to know about it. So once you get a few months into the game, or even a few years, and it's good to just check this every once in a while, is you go with best guess, and what you do is you right click to add to your current selection. So you right click them and it adds any more recent ones. So like Tunis just got added, right? So those are really useful. And because what that does is it basically says, okay, now if Tunis were to declare war, it will send me a ping. It'll send a pop-up message and tell me. And another useful one, if you're a Christian, is to go to your message settings in your escape menu, go to Dynasty, and go to Interesting. And you want to make sure you tick that whenever another country gets a new monarch, if they're marked as interesting, you'll get a pop-up for it. And what that does is that will say, if you're a Christian, you can fish for PUs with that. So that's a pretty useful tip, and I hope that one can help you out a bit as well. So we can get a few more men here, and you can get Janissaries as the Ottomans from any province that has heathens. So since we have Christians here, we can, like, the religion of these provinces is Christian Orthodox, so we can steal them from there. And that brings us up mostly to our force limit, which is really solid. Consolidate Asia Minor. So once we do that, we'll get more permanent claims, and that's good. So once we take this, we will get permanent claims on all of Greece. Once we conquer all of Greece, we will get permanent claims on Serbia and a couple of other areas, islands around the area. So that's all good stuff. Since we have our morale turned nice and low. Very good. Build to the force limit. So our force limit went down a little bit. That's okay. But this mission right here, 25 years. This is a vanilla mission. You can hold on to it and just kind of min-max and use it at the last second. We probably will. Now, as far as golden era goes, you ideally want to get as many of these as quickly as possible. That being said, we don't really have a way to do that right now. So we're going to hold off. Ideally, we'll get a humiliate off pretty soon. Speaking of, you get PP up various ways as well. So for example, you go and you embargo all of your rivals. You will get a little bit of PP from that. So it's good to do that. A lot of people don't know about the embargoing your rivals for PP. PP is pretty good, power projection, because what it does is it gives you scaling modifiers based on it. The major one is prestige, morale of armies. Those are the big ones. And the trade power is nice because it helps out with your economy as well. Who was our last rival? Venice. So let's also embargo Venice, which is nice because Venice is probably steering out of our trade nodes. So, oh, we have a truce with them. Right. You cannot embargo somebody you have a truce with. So then we also need to do some diplomatic actions here. So if you go to relations and you send in scornful insult or a regular insult, if you have a regular insult, you send it to them. You get 5 PP, which is pretty good. Once you have over 25 PP, you get a free leader without upkeep, which is fine. And then if you scornfully insult an enemy, or a rival that is, you will get 10 PP. This is a mod. You suck and I hate you. Best mod on the marketplace, or on the marketplace, on the workshop. I made it myself. Well, with Parmaline. So ideally you want to get at least 50. 50 is the number that you're shooting for. Easier said than done, but 50 is the number you're looking for. So anyways, we are almost there with our claim. So let's turn our army maintenance not quite all the way up because we don't need it all the way up. But what we're going to do here is we are going to get into position. And you can also turn your forts on if you'd like. I am not going to, but you could. Because I plan to just wipe his army out. So let's get you guys over here. And you guys come down here. And let's start getting ourselves prepared. I don't really want Mehmed to be a general. If you make your ruler a general, if they die in battle or on a siege, you lose 2 stability. So I would encourage against that. I'm going to roll a couple of generals here. One not so good. The other one's, this one's okay. I'll click this button now. We can get a claim on Constantinople before you get busted spying. Get that claim. And then let your spy network tick back up again. Now, I'd like to get a claim on Kosovo, but in the interest of getting it going, we're going to attack. So my morale is not 100% recovered. I'm okay with it. We're going to attack them. Let's pop our navy out here. So what you want to do is you want to just flood in and kill them all as quickly as possible. Okay, what is Athens' armies doing down here? Anyways, let's get a 3rd general. So since our morale is not as good, it doesn't matter because we stack wipe them. Now, as far as hotkeys go for battle, you can hit D, which detaches a siege. So if you walk away from this, it leaves the 9 stack there because Constantinople is a level 3 fort with a garrison that requires a base of 9. That's a nice little hotkey. I recommend using that. Sometimes it will leave the exact amount you need, which is not useful because what that does is then that actually translates to get a couple of guys over here. And so what I'm doing here is I'm leaving behind enough men to start sieging down Athens, but I'm also covering up their provinces. That way they cannot pop any more men out. So you see right here, they're building an infantry here. But if we stand on it, they won't be able to. So they got their army here. So Athens does. So what we do is we walk over here. This is Highland, so it's not the best fight. But we have an extra number on them, so I'm confident we can win. Very good. We also have 2 cav on there for some reason. That's not ideal. You don't want to have that many cav. So Serbia's marching some men down here. Let's head down here to reinforce these lads. Yeah, they're gonna... Okay. So yeah, I recommend having your galleys go home at war if they're protecting trade as well, or protecting against pirates. Otherwise they can get stack wiped and it's just really annoying. So yeah, like these guys lost a battle, and you can see here this Byzantine fleet is gonna probably try to head over and kill them. So just like pull them into port, hunt pirates in Ragusa, go home at war, because it still applies their bonuses. So this is good. Let's have you guys. This is the rest of them. Let us get an admiral and come on over here. Yeah, these guys are gonna pop in there. There's not really much I can do about it either. They're gonna take a -2 though, but yeah. So this is a bad fight. We don't want this, but there's nothing I can do about it. So you shift consolidate. You shift and then click this. If you shift to click it, it leaves empty stacks. We don't have any empty stacks, but shift consolidating right before battle is just good measure. So they're taking a -3 because they're attacking me in the highlands. If you use the simple terrain map mode, they're attacking me in the highlands while also crossing a strait with a general that has inferior maneuver. So they're taking a -3 here. They're still going to win, probably, just because they have more men and they're flanking me. You can see this cav right there is flanking. So, looks like we're shattering. They are too. Okay, so we just stack wipe that. So, this battle down here, I'm just going to play it safe and we're going to flee. These guys are coming down here and it should be fine. We'll be able to catch them out there. So let's have these guys split off and head over this way. And you split with S, if you didn't know. Now you do. So let's teleport this general from over here over to here. Because what we want to do is we want to attack him across the strait now. Which is fine because we outnumber them. And we only take a -1 because of the highlands. Since we have a superior maneuver general, we do not take the -2 for the strait crossing. So good stuff. Very good information to have. And what you want to do is split and cover as many provinces as quickly as possible. So now I'm going to show you a technique called carpet sieging. And this is my personal technique. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, and I'll show you all of them, or at least a few of them. What you want to do is cover and occupy as many provinces as quickly as possible. The way that I generally do this is you select your army and you hit S, which splits it in half. Then you hit S again, which splits that half in half. Then you click, which selects the topmost group, which is the half stack, and then you hit S one more time. So now if you select them, you have all 3 armies, or all 4 armies that are roughly equal. Since we have 4 and 4, or 5 and 4, it's not going to be perfect, but you hit S, S, click S, okay? And that will give us a roughly even stack. So then what you do is you select all of them once you have them split up, and you hit V, so you leave a stack behind. So when you hit V, it closes out the bottommost stack. Then you right click onto a province here, right click V, and right click V. And since we have a fort zone of control, it's a little funky, but that's the way that you manage that. Let's get these guys grouped up over here. These guys are over here sieging down Constantinople. We also want to get our galleys out here as well. So let's if you hit D while selecting your navy, it will detach a blockade. You can head over here. So we want those guys there blockading Constantinople, which blockading is very important early on, especially because it gives you a bit of a buff on your siege here. If they're a coastal province, you can see, well, if you're not blockading it, they get a -2, I think, to your siege roll, siege progress. So very useful. So these guys will be out here in May. So we're going to be able to get there in time, which is good. We want to. Okay, so this is part of this one here, this supremacy of the crown, I think is what it's called, or what is it called in here? Supremacy over the Sultanate. Every once in a while, they will be able to basically click this button without you having any say in how it goes. So since we have to pick one, you just want to take a look at which ones make the most sense. Gallipoli, base dev, or autonomy higher than a province, which will give the Dhimmi loyalty. This is good. We want that, because Dhimmi loyalty will allow us to get some really good bonuses to our tech cost, which we want to get tech as early and as fast as possible. So 1 base tax will be gained, and local. So all you need is local autonomy in this province to be higher than 15. Literally, all that means is you come over here, go to your state, increase that, and boom, just like that, you get it, which gives the base dev, which is nice, I guess. And then, oops, sorry about that. I just right clicked out of there. There we go. So that is a good way to do that. And that will also increase their loyalty, and it will go up quicker, and we'll be able to start getting those bonuses from that. So these guys, I'm being helped in a siege here because Byzantium attacked these guys, which is hilarious. So they're actually dedicating a little bit of their men to it. They're actually in charge of the siege. Ooh, that's not ideal. Yeah, that's not ideal. Anyways, we have a naval battle over here. Luckily, we have our admiral there. But yes, so the goal will be to cover as many provinces as possible, as quickly as possible, to prevent them from being able to siege anything back. That's what we want to do here. So a nice little thing here, you can see it's not quite the end of the month. If you head in here and you can get into the port before the end of the month, you get that repair tick, and then you can pop that navy back out. So that's something that I recommend doing. Their navy is over here, so I think we actually just want to headhunt their navy. And since this is the only province that they can pop men out of, which is really good, so we want to destroy their navy to the best of our abilities. And there we go, we sunk the whole thing. So now let's have these guys head back over to the Aegean to blockade as much clay as possible. And meanwhile, these guys are feeling pretty crappy. You cannot take clay unless you have a fort. You can see here, we can't take it because you do not own any forts in the area. So what we're going to do here is we're going to wait until we occupy his capital fort, and then we're going to piece Serbia out separately to take Kosovo. It costs Diplo, and I'll explain all that stuff, but oftentimes it can be the right move. We have won the siege of Constantinople. Glorious. So now that there is no armies left for the most part, this is a little risky and I wouldn't recommend it, but to avoid losing money, you can turn your army maintenance down a bit and turn off a couple of forts that you know for a fact are not in danger. Something like that. Because they cannot get across these straits, so you can turn off these forts over here. And you can see here, this is a little min-maxy, but this is solid because now I'm making money while at war. And you can see, well, your men will not reinforce as quickly, but this is okay. This is okay. So ideally we would win this before, that way we could piece them out, but they're probably going to win this siege. This is going to create a little bit of an issue because they're not going to piece out separately. Like, they're going to sit here. Ooh, they attacked me. Okay. Yep. So that was my bad for turning off my army maintenance, but that's okay. So let's have you guys here. And let's have half over there. Now they shouldn't be feeling... Come on now, you jerk. This is hills, so... All right. So this is a really nice example of how to exploit the AI for being dumb. These guys are going to attack me. There is no river crossing, but they are attacking me in the hills. So what that means is they're going to be taking a -1. If I were to march this army over right now, you can see they won't be there until the 6th. They'll be there on the 5th. But if you want, what you can do is you can scorch the province. If you control a province, and that includes any province that you control, whether it be your own land or an occupied province, you cannot do it for vassals or your allies, but if you directly control it, you can click this button here, which will cost 5 mil mana, but will scorch the province. There's a little bit of devastation that goes to it, but that's not what you're doing it for. What you're doing it for is this modifier right here. Hostile movement speed. So it said 5. They were going to get there on the 5th. Now they're going to get there on the 14th. So what you can do now is you wait. You get your army here. You wait. These guys are going to lock in very soon. And once they get at least halfway, their movement will get locked in. So they're locked in. They'll be there on the 14th. We can be there on the 15th now, even though they're locked in with a much larger stack. Look at that. And they just go in and they stack wipe themselves. Very solid. Also, whenever you're trying to piece somebody out, it's good to stand on as many forts as possible, because what that does is it gives them a modifier called occupied and besieged provinces, which basically just makes them more excited to get out of the war. So you can take a look here. We got 51 more reasons than what we're asking for. So the question is do we want more? Well, we're already taking a province, and I don't really plan to take anything else, because you can see here, unjustified demands tells us, because we don't have, they are not a belligerent, a co-belligerent in the war, and we do not have a claim on this province. So what we have to do is we have to pay Diplo basically to justify it, quote unquote. So if we want, what we could do is possibly look and see if we have a vassal we can release from them, like a Montenegro. Montenegro only has like 2 cores, so probably not worth it. You could vassalize them outright. They're small enough to do it, possibly. Oh, they're not. So you're taking a look at all these things. One thing I definitely recommend doing, especially early on, is this button right here. It costs a little bit more Diplo, and it costs a little bit of aggressive expansion. But what this does is this takes development. And I know my UI mod is a little funny and it says some stuff that's different, but this is, it will say pillage, I believe is what it says. So if you pillage them, it takes 4 dev from their capital and puts 3 dev in your capital. Now, obviously, we're going to move our capital to Constantinople. So maybe we don't want to do that right now, but either way, it is dev that is being taken from them and given to us. Very strong. Also, I recommend always taking war reps. And if you shift right click, it will max out how much mana or how much money you can get from them. So obviously they're not feeling good about giving us as much money, but war reps is king, especially because it takes their base tax. And there you go. So that is a solid peace deal from them. So they are separate pieced out, all is well in the world. So then you want to core up Kosovo, and generally you want to put an army there just to make sure that they're not going to be, you know, rebelling too quickly. And then we can turn our army maintenance down again. And so now we're in a little bit of a dilemma, and this is just AI Wars 101, is we are ready to peace out. We want to full annex them. We cannot full annex them because this province is occupied in another war. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to do that, but we're going to do that in the next episode. I'm planning on the episodes in this campaign being a little bit longer, just to make sure that we can cover a little bit more material and a little bit more information before I have to end the video. When I'm playing a little bit slower, obviously we're going to need to cover a little bit more, and I'd rather keep my number of episodes in the lower number because the longer a series goes on, the less people are interested. So if you guys are excited for the campaign, like I said, and you're wanting to learn a little bit more about EU4, go ahead and leave a like on the video, and leave a comment down below how you feel about this first episode. If there's any questions you have, I'm happy to answer them in the comments or in the coming episodes. Yes, all those links that, like I said, the Discord, the subreddit, anything like that, they're all linked in the description below the video, as well as my Patreon. If you have it within your means and you would like to support what I do, I am almost entirely funded by ad revenue and Patreon. So if you guys like what you see and you want to support me, Patreon linked in the description below is the best way to support if you would like to. But that's all I got for you for today. This is Sultan Chewyshoot, and I'll catch you guys later.